Hey, speaking in public can be an intimidating prospect, but being able to address an audience is an invaluable skill in a competitive world. I certainly benefited a lot from speaking out more and learning how to do it, and I've learned a lot over the years, so today I'm going to show you some top tips after our slightly overlong intro sequence. Which is muted. This is Square's TV App Lab number 60, where I show you how to tie together your Mac, your iPhone and iPad with all the apps I've been making and talking about via Square's TV. This is a Zoom call on Office Hours Global. I have John During on the other screen. He has just followed through on his his advice to you is stick how to stand out in meetings without saying a word, and he's already standing out. I see Lorenzo. Hey Lorenzo, how you doing? I hope you are doing well. So this the YouTube just kind of pop questions in chat, and I will momentarily get distracted when I'm in the middle of a sentence, and then try and get to it when I get to it. Or if I'm in mid flow, then I may just kind of like keep sticking stuff in chat, and I'll do my best to respond. But I also will try and come in prepared. This is a flaky development version of CueCam that I'm running. So just bear in mind that things. If I disappear for a moment, I'll be back shortly. It's just it should be fine today. It's been pretty good. Here's a little Harvey update. How cute is this baby looking? I should really hide my camera for this one, but. He's looking. But yeah, so I've got a few updates. What have I been working on? So CueCam has got an audio fix. So I bought myself a new. I don't want to unplug it in case it messes up the thing. But I bought one of these. This Evo. What is it? An Evo 8 thing on an office hours recommendation from JC. This thing is wonderful. I really like it, but there was a problem in CueCam where it would crash if you had if you set the output to a multi-channel audio interface. That's fixed in the development build. It's not fixed in the real one yet, so you can't use like a fancy sound card yet as you're monitoring. But that is going to change as soon as the new release comes out, which hopefully won't be too long now. But I love this thing. Like, it's got a little bouncing. It's got the LEDs show the audio levels, and it just controls the system volume on the Mac, and it's great, and it just sounds nice and looks nice. I'm very happy with it. I made some music yesterday, so that was fun. The next thing is I have made some improvements to the chroma key. Now this flips around to a green screen, but I'm not 100% happy with the chroma yet, so I would have come live just from the green screen today, but I think this looks better anyway. I think a real picture looks better. But before long, I should be able to show you a much better green screen, and that should work much better than it does at the moment with some more controls and things. There was an Intel Mac bug where you'd get like a red transparent overlay over your picture, was what it turned out to be. And that turned out to be... I add a watermark layer on if you want to add some branding in, which I meant to put in, like, this is coming from CueCam Live. I meant to do that this morning, and I didn't because I just worked on text editing all day. But that layer is created, and then it wasn't being hidden, but on M1 Macs, that was just transparent, but on older Macs, for some reason, it was like a red transparent layer if it was initially revealed and not given anything. So who could have guessed that? Luckily, I was able to get my old Intel MacBook Pro out of the box up above a cupboard and test it out and reproduce it. So that's going to be fixed again in the next build. And then finally, lots of progress on the new CueCam UI. which is feeling, yeah. So I mean, I'll go through some of the features that I'm working on for that. Do you know this sort of style? I quite like this with the sort of placeholders, but this is sort of like a bug that these black thick shapes are appearing, but I don't hate it. So new UI features in CueCam coming. Much clearer editor. I can sort of give you, well, I'll tell you what they are. Clearer editor, fully flexible text and image editing. You can add as many titles and images and quotes and footnotes as you want, and that's all really fluid now. Design systems, so you'll be able to select a different kind of like layout style for your presentation. So you see, I've got, hey, pink backgrounds on my cards, or if I've actually got I mean, this is still, I'm still sort of working on the UI for it, but I can, we can sort of change this to a kind of a different style. Oh, that's the wrong document. And it's per document, so let's see if it lets me change the style. It probably won't, to be honest. So I might just stay where I was and make sure that the colour's right. Let's not try and demonstrate this live. And then, yeah, lots of other details. Like we've got a new, what do we say? A new camera window for the main screen. We've got video pencil camera and shoot controls integrated into the main user interface a bit more fluidly, a bit more obviously, and lots more details like sort of keyboard shortcuts and tracking of the video pencil canvas to the current slide. So look, stuff like I can draw up here, and then if I go into a side, I can draw here now, and then when I go back, it's back to what it was, and then when I come back up, hey, it's the drawing that I just did. So some just little quality of life improvements to let you kind of like really express yourself and not have to kind of, so I'm feeling really good about things like that. And I will just give you a quick demo, I'll just give you a quick tour of how it's looking. I will go to the desktop, but I sort of want to clear my current slide, which I will do from here, and zoom out a bit, perhaps. That's very small, but okay. So we've got. If I come to CueCam, if we go to the main landing view, you'll see we have a. You go there. Right, so we've got this new landing screen, which has now the video preview here. And if we click on that, we get that video preview with the side three, with the dash, with the share controls. And just remember, you can always access the sharing controls up here as well. But this has got your microphone controls and things like that. So this is sort of a way of getting to CueCam stuff without having to sort of randomly create a blank document, and you can close that as well. And if you're editing, if you don't want to have your camera going, then this is possible by just sort of closing that window. It's going to not have the main camera. Obviously in the preview mode. So this is what the editor looks like. You click onto a card, you see a preview. So you see, I'm changing. I can sort of change my different styles and sort of immediately see what's going on. So I can go gear demos, and I can add a different level of title, and I can move that into an over the shoulder left, and I can add a quote, something clever, clever person. So we've got, and maybe we want to do a footnote. We can find that there and go, footnote is here. So just lots more things that you can add in, and you can drag and drop pictures in. So let's say I've got this, I can just drag that in, and that's going to come in there. And all of this is, with this sort of text-based editor, so you can see exactly what's going to show up on the slides. You still get the little preview, and then you can sort of navigate and put your notes. And something that John Ittelson was asking for on Monday, comments. So all this will appear in your teleprompter, but comments will comments will not appear in the teleprompter. So that's that's the new text editing stuff. What was I also going to mention? So card editing. We've got this thing on the side. Oh yeah, and then we've got Shoot is here. So if I launch Shoot, you can see it's scanning for devices. If I just fire up Shoot now and point it this way, we can see my phone appeared there, and now we've got all the controls, and I can zoom and say if I on this what is the best way. So if I were to change my camera, if I were to just share my camera, I can see Shoot as an option there, and now I can, oops, I zoomed right in. I've zoomed in on my hand. So let's just zoom out again and maybe switch to the back ultra wide, and you can have a look around my space, see what I'm working with today. And then let's exit that share. And then also, if we go back to the desktop, you can also see that Video Pencil is also up here. So all of those Video Pencil controls available up there with keyboard shortcuts and stuff. So this is some of the new stuff that's happening. Oh, I think I just switched my main camera to... I meant to share. Okay, right, we're back. Okay. Was there... What else was I talking about on here? So I said new camera, Video Pencil, Shoot controls, tracking. Yeah, but it's not without challenges, this stuff. So if I go on to the next slide, you can see the sort of nightmare I've been dealing with. This is what scrolling's been looking like. Oh, I'm also holding a baby there. Look at this scrolling, it's horrible. Yeah, so I've been desperately trying to get performance back on track. So I thought, oh, I know what this bug is. I know what that bug is. I know what it is. Ah, interesting. So I feel like I need to talk to someone about this. So you're tuned in. I'm going to tell you about this. So I've been having this fight with SwiftUI, which is Apple's way of building user interfaces. So I get a choice of list. Right, so a list lets me create rows. So then in our case, each of those rows is like the card with the text editor with the preview, text, preview, text, preview. The advantage of using a list is I get drag and drop for free. I get selection, multi-selection, arrows up and down, press the delete key, all of that stuff for free. And it animates and it's beautiful. But if I want to have something in one of these cards extend outside the bounds of the cards, such as, for example, this this is going to be, no, let's come back to the, let's leave the desktop, such as the little control. Well, I'll draw it in green. The little control that sort of gives you your little things that you can insert. If I want to have that, if I want to show that, I can't put it inside one of these because it gets clipped by the top. And so instead I have to like measure the position of each of these views, and I have to pass it out to the outside, and I have to move this thing up and down my view, and that has a lot of overhead and it's a bit annoying. Another reason that this is annoying is this list thing is made for kind of like huge lists of relatively simple views. So it's made for like, it's sort of like they're thinking about iPhones where you're scrolling through a huge list of cells, and so what it's doing is once this one goes off the top of the screen, it like recycles it and puts it down here and changes the contents of it, which is fine if you don't have much in there, but my views are quite complex. There's quite a lot going on. There's big text editors, there's slides, there's things like it's like building up, rendering out the thumbnail and all this kind of stuff, which then makes it, that's why that was so sluggish and it was hanging all the time, because it's like doing all this work every single time and it's reusing these frames. So The other option I have is a lazy V stack. Let's see. Okay, that kind of looks good. Where in that case, I can sort of access this whole canvas. If I put something in one of these cards, if I put a thing here and it's part of this card, it won't get clipped by the outside of the card. It doesn't recycle these views, so I can just keep scrolling, and we're not going to have loads, so it's not going to take up loads of memory. We're not trying to save like 1,000 rows. We've only got like 30 rows or something. So it's okay to keep these in memory, but I lose the free drag and drop, the free keyboard interactions. And being SwiftUI, it's very difficult to implement those keyboard interactions yourself. Drag and drop yourself. Well, the drag and drop's feeling good now because it's instead of being like in terms of these are the rows of my table, it's more this is a card, and that makes it easier to drag cards between documents. So when I did that Harvey video, I actually uploaded it to a different document and then just like dragged that card into this one, and I was able to sort of like present it without sort of ending the stream on the thing. But yeah, loads of challenges, especially around text editing. You just don't even know, like, so you've got a text field and it's got text in it, and that text has got to flow around a box that's there. But when the text box is small, you want it just to be like this and that like this, or if there's no card attached, you just want it to be this height. And then having all those different variations of how they look makes it very complicated to get right. And at the moment I've just spent like 2 hours trying to make it so when you press the down key it goes to the next card, which it does, but it goes to the end of the text field in the next card instead of the start, which would make more sense. And I am just tearing my hair out trying to figure out how to communicate between these views in a way that doesn't like trigger Apple's secret sauce every time, so that you can press the down arrow and it goes down. When we press enter, something happens. If you press enter, it adds another bullet. Some stuff is so easy, some stuff is such a pain. I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine last week who's learning to code, and he's learning about libraries, and he's saying he's sort of realizing, oh, you can just sort of like take a library and sort of kind of just use someone else's code and just sort of put it together, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's the theory. Apple provides all these user interface elements, buttons, text fields. You just say, I want the button that says X on it. I just want a text field that says this. I just want a list of things. They give you this stuff to make it easy. So my life is spent fighting with the things that it doesn't do quite how I want. So I just like, oh, this thing does all this good stuff automatically, but then I can't get it to like handle the keyboard the way I want it to. And then you just end up spending hours trying to sort of reverse engineer how all that stuff works inside. So it's this weird world. Like I'm sort of building Lego, but the Lego pieces, sometimes you want it. It's not a very good analogy. It's like sometimes you want to get the Lego pieces instead of some pre-made, you don't want like a prefabricated Lego car. I don't know, it's a bad analogy. I didn't plan this. Let's I have to say, editing this script though, this afternoon, I had like 20 minutes to, honestly, I think this is going to be some good content, but I did this so quickly. It was feeling really snappy. I was really enjoying editing in CueCam. It's really starting to come together. I'm really enjoying it. So good for being able to sort of push out content quickly, come up with just not come into these things completely unprepared. I'm really liking that. So I'm going to talk about what does it take to become a great speaker? Or I think more accurately, what does it take to build your confidence as a speaker? So this is what I wanted to talk about today, and feel free to throw things in because, where are we up to? 20 minutes. We did the updates. What does it take to become a great speaker? Here is some stuff. Here's how I approach it. I'm not saying I'm just saying like I built a lot of confidence in public speaking over the years. So, you know what? Lesson 1, practice. Like the first thing, how do you get good at anything? You've got to do it over and over again. But this can be hard when you're starting out because you sort of need somewhere to practice. You need a way of building that confidence. You need a way of being able to start sort of like feeling confident about putting yourself out there. And you're going to have to sort of deal with this journey that it takes to sort of build that confidence. And I always think of this diagram. So we get the you sort of realize that this is a sales one, but you realize that you want to learn to get better at something. You sort of make some early gains. Do you know what? This is the wrong chart. You see, this is what happens when you do things quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide the slide, and I'm going to just draw it in video pencil and explain the one that I actually wanted. Wait, slide. Okay. So. We don't want to share the desktop. We just want to. Okay. So. You have this journey when you're learning a skill, and it starts off with it can start easy, but then oh man, this is the wrong diagram. Sorry. Right. What the thing I'm trying to think about here is the problem is, yeah, this is it. Like, your taste develops faster than your ability, right? So you know what a good public speaker looks like. You know what someone that can engage an audience looks like. And then you try and do it yourself, and you're like, this is crap. This is because you have that level of taste, and you need that level of taste in order to get good at something. I don't know that I have an amazing taste in like my own live streams. I think there's so much more I could be doing with this stuff. But like, I can certainly see, like, if I look at a good speaker and if I hadn't done something before and I tried, like, presenting, and it went badly, I'd be like, oh, I'm terrible at this. But you're always going to feel terrible at it to start with. So so you've just got to sort of like overcome that initial hump where your sort of taste is higher than your skill level, and just keep working at it and not kind of get depressed in this chasm, and then eventually your ability will sort of like start to be reconciled with the thing. That was very smooth, wasn't it? I think it's really important to have a routine to do this. So just committing to regularly doing the act of speaking, and how are you going to do that? You can't just sort of put yourself out. You can't do a TED talk every week, right? You can't go live but what you can do is that there are a lot of potential audiences out there of various sizes. So something I did I did 3 months. Every single night I would go live on Twitch and play live music for 2 hours. I would just like figure it out, and that was an unbreakable routine. And the only reason I stopped was because I got this contract in Hong Kong, and I was working 3 weeks in another country, and I couldn't keep it going because I tried to bring some gear to keep it going. But I think it's really important when you create a routine, you then like don't break the chain. You have to keep doing it. Like, this is the Jerry Seinfeld thing. I have an app called Good Habits which helps me track this stuff. So you just you have your calendar, and like, you need to track every single day off, and you're counting up. Okay, we're at 5, and you want that number to be going up. And basically, what this trains you to do is, something weird and unexpected happens on that day. You have to figure out how you're still going to do the thing. How am I still going to go live when I've got this meeting at this time? And I better kind of set up early. And that works. That I did for the music gigs, and then for 4 years I did a podcast every single Friday. And I was it was very important to me that it was me and a friend, Ivanka, that we showed up every single week and didn't make it. If it was a bit more difficult to do that week, that's the one that is more important to keep going, to not make excuses, because as soon as you sort of like lose your footing, it's much harder to keep going. It's like an object in motion, keeps moving. If you stop, then you stay stopped, and it's hard to kind of like create that momentum again. And yeah, like with my live music things, it was so hard I just couldn't. It was so much work, it was so exhausting to keep, but like I was doing it every night and I just wasn't going to stop. But as soon as I stopped for a minute, it was so hard to kind of build up that momentum again, because all like then when I'm thinking about doing it and I haven't done it for a couple of days, I'm just like just the thought of it is just so exhausting that I don't want to do it. But when you are doing it every day, you just develop these habits, you just figure it out. It's like feeding the baby. Like we've got a routine of sterilize the bottles, fill the bottles, do the things, like, you know, like we've got this, take it apart, wash it, put it in the sink, put it there, then we take, you know, and the more you do it, the more you'll kind of like, the more muscle memory and the more automatic that will become. And the beautiful thing is like, you will be able to start out, you know, it still feels like being out in public when you go live on Twitch, for example. But the fact is, you'll be lucky if one other person is watching. But it still kind of feels like it. And then that's a really sort of slow, steady way of sort of building. Hopefully you'll start building up an audience. You'll start building up more people to talk to. And then, you know, just, well, I'll talk about this a bit later, but each threshold feels scary, and then it's not anymore. The next thing, I just wanted to mention the idea of research. And I just want to say, like, I think it's tempting to want to do a lot of research, and this can very easily turn into procrastination. Oh, I need to learn how to do this. I need to read. I think if you have an interest in something, that research, you're just doing the research all the time. And really, it's not so much I'm going to spend time researching. It's more kind of building the habit of keeping notes that you can come back to and saving things to somewhere that you can get back to them. And this is not something I'm very good at all. At the very least, what I'll do is I'll start my CueCam document a few days early, and then I've got somewhere to drag this week's content into. If I do shoot a video, I've got somewhere to put it. And so, but just that's a slightly different thing. But yeah, if you are, something I do find, like if you are writing, it's really useful to kind of, if you did see a good quote or you heard something, a certain phrase that you want to bring back, just like sort of have it, like Apple Notes, you know, something like that, and just kind of make sure you can get back to those things. But I think like research for its own sake is often just a way of not doing. I'm just thinking about it, I'm just learning. Oh, I've got to learn more. It turns into a lot of procrastination. Sometimes you just got to jump in and just do it. And that's going to feel really difficult, really scary. Perfectionism is going to go crazy, but you're not going to be perfect. And the only way you're going to get better is not by imagining and thinking, it's by doing and repeating and trying and seeing what goes wrong each week. And you see, I apply this technique to a fault, I think. Just I you know, especially with like I'm not just doing it with my own presentation, I'm doing it with my software that I am presenting with. Like each week I'm like pushing it through the ringer. Like, is it going to survive? Is the audio going to be okay? Is this video playback going to work? Is it going to crash? Like, but you know, if I didn't have this weekly routine, back to routine again, should go back to the previous slide, then I would not, you know, it would not be getting better at the pace that it's getting better, and it would be so easy to sort of find yourself in the weeds if you're not like actually kind of like, the rubber has to meet the road, right? And you have to actually see how real people are going to react. And so that's just something I think is really important. And then, yeah, you know, this is what you're here for, really, isn't it? Like tools. And of course, so, you know, I think if you're doing online presentations, CueCam is like, this is a really incredible tool for getting good at this. So the first thing you're going to want a tool to be able to do is just to record. And you can record with your phone, just like using the camera app or something. But if you start recording yourself, you can start watching yourself back. So you don't even have to let anyone else see. And it's really embarrassing. And there's a lot of cringing when you first hear your voice. Your voice does not sound the same on a microphone as it does in your head, and you will get used to that. You will get used to that. That's just, that is how you sound, yes, to everyone else, and that's fine. They're used to it. That's just how you sound. That's how people sound. But yeah, you've got to record yourself and you've got to watch yourself back. And like, it can be scary to, sometimes I just don't watch myself back, especially if I'm scared about how badly something went. But like, if you want to get better, watch yourself back, and maybe, you know, even with someone that you trust that may be able to give you some insights. But to be honest, as you start out, if you just do have a certain taste level of this, if you are interested in doing this, then you're going to be able to instantly see, oh God, why did I do that? What am I wearing? What, you know, I forgot to do this. Oh, this framing is weird. You're going to learn by, you know, it looks different from the other side, and you need to know what it looks like from the audience's side, not just from your side. And CueCam does have a nice handy record button, so it's really easy to sort of do that. And yeah, like I'm realizing that I need a slide here, which is preparing. So, you know, again, like if you are, that's interesting. Preparing. If you are using CueCam to prepare a talk, sorry, I just want to put this down the bottom. We still need to make some fixes to the UI. There's some missing bits of UI. Preparation, CueCam, if you want to, it's tempting to jump into PowerPoint. It's tempting to start like putting together a deck. It's tempting to just, if you're going to go live, just not prepare at all. I think like CueCam I find a really great balance for, I'm going to do as much or as little planning of what I'm going to say as I need to feel confident in front of a particular audience. And then I think like this is a writing process in a lot more than it is a laying out bullet points process. And I think like if you can focus on the thinking, which is about words really, and like pulling together a picture that illustrates a point, pulling together a video that illustrates a point, I think that's going to be much more effective than sort of but sort of focusing more on the words, focusing more on your thinking than, oh, how am I going to lay out this presentation, or what's it going to look like? You know, it's you don't really want to be thinking about that too much. This is a way that I really learn a lot about myself. Recording a podcast every week, and then editing it, which takes hours. When you've recorded for 2 hours, it takes 4 hours to edit it, maybe 6. You really get to know yourself. You really get to hear those speech patterns that you want to improve on. You really get to sort of see, you sort of find the level of hesitation and pauses that feels right. To start off with the podcast, I would really over edit it and sort of like edit out every sound and breath. You know, it was really tight, but it was too much. And there was one day that I kind of realized I could loosen it up a bit and let us kind of breathe a bit and let us just talk. And but that wasn't something, we didn't have the skill at talking initially not to have to do that editing. But after a couple of years, we were just doing it all live, which we couldn't have done to start with. But by going through that recording, editing experience, we were then able to sort of get better and better at it, up to the point that we could just like push it out live and we weren't worried about like saying the wrong thing or, anything going too badly wrong. And, again, I think editing is a really useful way of understanding yourself. And also, like, if you are recording something for YouTube rather than a live speech talk, then you can snip stuff out and to start off with, it's like training wheels, right? Like editing is the training wheels of your live talks, and then eventually with CueCam you'll just be able to like do it in one go and you won't need to edit in the same way. And but like editing can be a really good tool to get on that into that process and just understand yourself and build that confidence. And I just think you've got to jump in. It's tempting to keep preparing and putting things off and, it's not good enough yet. I've got to get all this stuff perfect. But like you've got to like set a day that you're going to go live. Set a day that you're going to commit to a talk. I remember like the first time I played in bands up into my, like until I was about like 20, I think I was playing in bands, 21. And then I moved to London, and then the band I was in kind of like dissolved a little bit after a few months for various reasons. And I started embarking on my solo musical career. And I remember, I wanted to play. I really wanted to do it. It was such an important thing to me to do it, but I was just, it's hard to do it. And so then I was in the pub, there was a friend of a friend talking about they're putting on this night in Camden, and he said, oh, do you want to play? And I was like, and he was like, yeah, come on. And it sort of like got me to commit to going on stage. And then once you made that commitment, I am going to go live on this date. Like, all the like everything you really start like feeling it, and you're really going to then start preparing for what you're doing. So, I ended up, I think, taking a day off work because I just didn't feel I had enough time to prepare my live set, and I was doing all this stuff and pulling all these samples together and doing all things. But just putting a peg there, even, and it was something I'd never done before, played live on my own. But I just had to do it, and it was terrifying the first time. But I did it, and I pulled it off, and I did a good job because I'd done like extra preparation for that one. And then after that, it was like, okay, I've done that now. And I just did it again and again and again. And it wasn't scary in the same way ever again as it was just that first time. And there were bad gigs, loads of them. And there were gigs I was very unprepared for. You sort of start to develop a bit too much confidence and like maybe should have probably been a bit more scared. Like that anxiety is there for a reason. It sort of forces you to be ready. And so you can use that sort of fear. The fear of embarrassment is a powerful motivator, but you have to commit, and you just have to jump in. And each threshold, as I say, is scary the first time, and then it's easy. And then you just got to find a new threshold and find a new threshold. Like I'll play the trumpet. Okay, cool. And then it was like a long time before I was like, I'm going to sing in front of people through a very distorted thing. And then you do that once, and that's, oh, okay, I've done that. It's not scary anymore. Okay, now I'm going to like properly, each thing that you try, it's scary the first time, and then it's not. However it goes the first time, it's still just not. But because it's scary, you end up putting a lot more work in. And then it's just rinse and repeat. As you do it more, you'll see what needs to be improved. You'll see what's working. You'll see what isn't. And the more you do it, the more you'll see what's a fluke and what is just you getting better at it. Because I've certainly fallen into the trap of like thinking I can do it easily because I had one really good one. But then the next three might be really bad because it was sort of like a fluke that I did a good job and not a sort of consistent preparation and consistent sort of practice. And you're really sort of trying to get for that consistency. If you can sort of do a one-off and that can go really well. But really what you want is just keep doing it so that you can sort of like get really good. And I like to see John During sort of doing these daily videos. He's sort of got the right habit doing those daily videos. You can see those on the CueCam Presenter YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe and all that. I will be very grateful. Should I point at the subscribe button? No, wait. I've not quite got the hang of that yet. But yeah, I will be interested to hear your thoughts on that from chat. But it does seem to be a pretty quiet stream today. I can dial you in, John, if you've got anything to to add. Give me a thumbs up if so. If not, that's okay too. Oh, okay. You're on.
I'm just saying that the tool set that you've created, just taking a little piece of it at a time is like an adventure. And so I love your orientation, which is basically, look, it's what you have to say that's important. And just developing that routine where, it's yourself and you're sort of naked, you're transparent. And it takes a while for you to realize that people can see you. But I just checked my stats this morning, and every time I look, a couple more people have looked at the last video, and I think, oh, okay, I'll keep doing it. So it really is a matter of, is this working or is it not? And you're constantly refining that. And from there, new ideas come along. So it's fascinating. I really applaud you for taking this approach, because so many people in online meetings, they're just silent. They don't say a thing. And so that's what prompted my last video, and we'll just keep exploring. So thank you. Great.
Thank you. That's great. It's the way to go. It's the way to do it. That's great. With that said, like, I am looking for more guests to come on. Like, I really enjoyed doing this as a Zoom call. But again, we do sort of need that calendar commitment. Like, I need you to sort of, talking to a couple of people. I know, you've sort of said, "Oh, I want to come and join," but really, I think it's important that we sort of stick something in the calendar so that you have something to kind of like be ready for. And it's if it's not, I guess you're using a new bit of tech, you're using, you maybe aren't amazingly confident about it. Thing is, like, this is such a small little channel. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. And as John says, like, you just learn. And you have ideas, and it just gives you ideas, and you start to see something you didn't expect. And the only way to do it is by doing. And if you come on once, just come on again. Just keep doing it. I don't care. Like, we'll just keep, like, you can do another one. Do the same one next week. Like, I think it's just really important that because we just learn so much every time we actually go out and do it. And maybe that's more important than, like, we're not. It's not going to be a TED talk that 10 million people watch. But for you, it's going to be, oh God, I'm actually in front of some people that I care what they think of me. So I better be ready for that. And even if only 4 people see it or 70 people see it, or, like, that's fine, right? That's fine. And you'll, to be honest, like, it's 0 to 1 is probably the scariest leap, because once you've got one person watching and listening to you, you're like, oh. But then it goes to 10, you're like, oh God. And I think on Twitch, like, I've had like 100 people, 150 people come to the chat, and I was like, oh God, right, I'd better be on. But then, I've got YouTube videos with, well, I mean, the one that's, tens of thousands of views, but it just sort of turns into a number after a certain point. You're just like, okay, that's a number, which is a different sort of feeling to being in a room. And it is really nice to, so I think, like, a smaller thing is, in a way, it's more scary, but it's more rewarding. But if you did want to sort of do it in a more famous way and do it to more, it's almost easier when you've just got a huge audience, as long as you're not, like, sort of like the subject of, trolls and that kind of. You'd have to learn about trolls on Twitch. That's a whole other story that's on the website. I've got a thing about that. But yeah, please come and join. We are a nice small group for now, and so I think it's I certainly do not tolerate trolling or anything like that. So it's a respectful environment. So I would love to have you on, and you can just email me if you are interested in getting involved. So that's so we're at squares.tv/discord if you want to come and do Discord, or you can just email me directly, michael@squares.tv. So, to play us out, God, it's actually been a pretty long session. To play us out, here is some alien techno. This is a little alien project that I did for reverb.com, who is this music gear sales. They got in touch with me through my YouTube channel and said, oh, maybe would you like to make some content for us, with us? And so I did a little Arduino project where I gave this alien, like, if you hold his left hand, he glows red and makes a sort of scary sound. If you hold his right hand, he sort of like glows warm colour and makes a different sound. And so this is me doing a little live performance at the end of that video. Well, 1 minute of it. And there's my modular synth rig, and yeah, they sort of sent someone over to come and film and sort of work with me on that day. And so that's what's going to play us out. And thank you so much, Lorenzo, for saying so. It's quiet, but it's a nice little gang we've got here. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the alien techno.